What's up, everybody? And today I'm just gonna talk about what happens with my speech. What's the problem with me, like reading notes or anything like that? Because sometimes it can take me about 15 minutes to fully read the whole thingy. And today I'm gonna tell you why this is going on and what's going on exactly. So first things first to get it started. So when I was about 19 years old, I was fine. I had no problems with speech. I was able to read quicker. I was able to do all the stuff that actually made me feel better to where I am from the way that I am now. And shut up. Sorry. Um, but like I was saying, I was able to talk around. I was able to talk to so many people. I was supposed to read notes like no tomorrow. I was supposed to write notes really fast. I was going to college at that point, and I felt it strong and powerful. Not powerful, but I felt it great. If that made any sense. But about I don't know if it was February, but it was in 2020. I believe it was during April, maybe. Actually, I can't really remember the day. I would have to put on my note and stuff like that, but whatever. Around the year of 2020, I figured out that I have an AVM. It's like this big word. I don't really know AVM because I'm just gonna show like a quick little video. It's not gonna be a real. It's not gonna be real. Um, But yeah, so this is an AVM. It's a tungle of so many different veins and arteries and all this stuff together. Because when the brain is supposed to make when the brain was supposed to go and stuff like that, it's supposed to look straight. It's supposed to keep going like that. My AVM in my head was like all twisted around, like all of this and stuff like that. It did not look good at all. So when I was talking to the doctor about it, the doctor said at that point, there's three things that we can do about this. He said, you can get rid of it. You can get surgery. We can get it gone, get the AVM gone. Second thing is we could put glue in some of those veins to let it die off eventually. Or the third thing is to leave it alone. So at that point, I was too scared to make that decision. I was with my mother. She helped me, and I was talking to her a few times, and I was like, okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue it. Um, put glue. And it was like, okay, let's go ahead. Let's get that going. Let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. And so we did. And I would say a month after that, that's my first hospital visit for it. And they put me out. They put like a glue in the brain, and I'm sorry if you guys don't like the details and stuff like that, but I'm just trying to tell you the true story of what happened. They glued some of the veins and some of the veins, and stuff like that. It made me feel a little sick, but I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. So I did it. It took me out of the hospital like the next day or the day after the day of the surgery. I was passed out. I was done. I was so drugged down that I didn't know what was going on exactly. So I started up with college again. I went back to school and stuff like that. I was struggling a little bit, but I managed to get going for some of it, um, and stuff like that. But then a few months after that, I was going to take a shower, and I was going to start singing music because I love singing while I'm showering and stuff like that. And I started talking about to sing. I realized I'm not saying the right words or any of the stuff that I was trying to say exactly what I was saying. Something was going on with my brain at that point because I was talking about a music, but when I'm trying to talk about it, I was talking about something else, if that makes any sense. It was like something I couldn't control at that point, and I was like, okay, this is not good. We need to go to the hospital. And so I lived with my mom at that point. I texted my mom or knocked on her door, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. and I was trying to talk to my mom about it, and she kept saying, "What are you saying? What are you saying?" I kind of raised my voice, and I felt it so bad for my mother, but I said hospital, and I said that really, really loud. She's like, "Okay, okay, we'll go to the hospital," and I waved at it and said, "We need to go," basically. And she said, "Okay, I'm getting dressed, get dressed, stuff like that," because I had my pajamas on. Um, so I got regular clothes on. We went to the hospital. I would say around 10 p.m. Around 10 p.m. I think that was about the time it happened. And my mom had to talk for me because I couldn't say anything what was going on. Um, when I went to the hospital, usually when I go to the hospital, they come in and they take a little while to go into the hospital or go to a back room where you talk to a doctor and stuff like that. But they put me in like right away. And so they put me in one of the back rooms and stuff like that. They started uh, getting my blood, checking on my stuff, asking me questions and stuff like that. I said, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, because I didn't know how to say it because I was panicking. I was scared. I thought I was literally dying. Um, well, when I was in that back room, I passed out. And I passed out in that room and stuff like that. I didn't know what happened exactly from that point. I didn't hear my mom say anything. I didn't hear the doctor say anything, but I passed it. I passed out. I had a stroke. I had a physical stroke because of it, because it was in my brain and stuff like that. And so they were taken around. I woke up for like a second or 2 seconds, and I was in like this big MRI room, and I was getting my brain scanned and stuff like that. But I didn't wake up until the next 3 days after that. I woke up and I was jumped. I was scared because I was like, "What happened? What happened? What happened? Why have I been here for so long?" and stuff like that. My mom, I believe it was my mom, was the first one that told me right then and there. It's like, "You had a stroke and that you had to get brain surgery." I started crying so hard because I didn't know what was going on. The doctor came in at that time and he told me, like, listen, buddy, so you had a stroke, and we figured out what was going on that caused the stroke, your speech, and all your stuff there. I was still having trouble with talking to people. I was still saying the wrong words and stuff like that. I was still freaking out. I said, just don't worry about talking right now. Your brain needs to calm down and stuff like that. And when that happened, they told us, so listen, that AVM that you had in your head bursted in that morning, and you didn't even know until the late night for that. Um, and the amount of blood that was in your head caused your brain to give you a stroke, basically, when I was in the hospital. And on top of that, that's why your speech was changing different. And we figured out, like, wow, this is something I've never, ever, ever seen this before. I was like, I had a stroke, and I was like, okay, wow. Um, and when we did that, they said as well, because of the situation, because of the surgery and the way I was laying down, I was laying on this side because I believe the AVM is on this side right here in my brain.
I just want to let you guys know that I was literally done with my like part of my brain. They actually needed my brain and pulled some out, and I kind of a little bit stupid, but I need to talk again and talk and doing that stuff again. I've lost some of my tide, so or trying to talk normally. Like these are normal things on this. I would show on this side, but if on this side it would be gross. But just want to let you guys know that I love you all. All right, y'all are some serious people. All right, I just want to let you guys know that I was seriously done. I actually died. You guys came back, so thank you guys so much. And I just want to let you know that I'm kind of okay. I'm just gonna need to do a lot again. To that again, but I love you guys. All right.
But yeah, I know when that happened, I was terrified. I thought that I did die, and I didn't know. But the doctor told me is like, if you never went back to the hospital during that time, you would have died in the next morning. You would have been dead the next morning. and I just couldn't believe how close I was to my own death because of an AVM. My thingy about this whole situation that happened is probably because of the glue. The glue was inside there for a while. Um, and I figured that the veins and the stuff like that didn't know how to pressure it anymore because the amount of pressure that was coming, because your brain has all the blood that's going. That's how you're talking, how you're doing all your stuff and stuff like that, how your brain works and stuff like that. Um, they told us, and I was like, wow, I can't believe. I still just couldn't believe, and I still can't believe to this day that this happened. Um, but we'll pass the whole sad story of me almost dying in the hospital. We'll talk about, when I finally got out of the hospital and why I started jumping back into things and stuff like that. Um, so first things first, I needed to go to a school. It wasn't like a physical school like A's or A's, B's, C's, F's, and anything like that. It was just more for a speech impediment type of thing. As you can see by me talking sometimes, my words are horrible. It was more of a speech thingy to help me get my brain to refocus itself back. Um, but like I was saying before, a part of my right eye was blinded because of the fact of the AVM that I had. That's why sometimes you see me with glasses, and usually when I'm doing videos and stuff like that, you're gonna see me with my glasses on because it actually helps me with stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I was talking to a lot of people, getting all my stuff going, and I was excited. I was like, wow, I'm getting back in the world. I'm feeling fantastic, and I just can't wait until I can get back in there. But then at that point, I realized to this day, even after the speech stuff, that I have this problem no matter what. And one of the things I heard about is my voice and my eye with the stuff that has happened to me since the AVM and the brain surgery and the stuff that happened. There's a small chance that this could never come back. And my eye is one of them. But we actually just realized 2 weeks ago that the part of my eye, I'm so sorry, um, part of it is actually getting vision again, and it's starting to get air again, because the amount of blood that was holding it down and stuff like that kind of crushed one of the nerve endings there, and so we realized that it's actually getting air back and stuff like that. So there's actually a high chance that my right eye can come back, and I'm actually really, really, really excited about that. So I can finally see my 2020 visuals, so I can see where I'm going and stuff like that. Because I can't see anything from here, like at all. I'm sure you guys are looking at it as like, oh, I could see that and stuff like that, but I can't see from that. So that's the issue. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you today. Is part of the reason with my speech and the stuff like that is because of the AVM and because of the surgery and because of the stuff that happened with me. Um, the high chance of me talking normally again, if that makes any sense, and actually talk normally and read notes and stuff like that. It takes me extra time than usual. Uh, that's part of the reason why if I ever come back to college or I ever come back to any schools or anything like that, I'm gonna need a second person to help me trying to understand, because if I'm in a lecture and the professor is talking to me while it's talking, I'm trying to listening, but it just can't stay in my brain for some reason. It's just because they're talking so fast and they're making all the stuff. It's like write this, write this, write that, and I'm like, whoa, 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 this is way too much. So oh yeah, I can see it like jumping back and forth. Yeah, it does that often, guys. I'm sorry about that. I could do this thingy where I can like zoom. Look at that. Wow, that's too close. But oh well. But yeah, so yeah, it's intense. I will say that. I'm gonna do that. There we go, so that can come back. Um, but yeah, it's a big stress from the situation that we are now. Especially with the jobs and stuff like that. It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough just because of the stuff. Like I'm much slower than usual people just because of the AVM I had, but who knows? All the thing. That's all I really want to talk to you guys. So that's why sometimes with some of my gaming videos and stuff like that, it takes me like 15 minutes to read a whole note or something like that from some of the videos I've seen. It's just because of that. And I'm sorry about that. That's something I can't control anymore because of it. But yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to talk to you guys today. This is the problem with my speech and all the stuff. If you do have an AVM, or you don't think you have one, or you don't know if you had one, maybe go get it checked out. And if you want it to be gone, or if you don't want it or something like that, I do not recommend doing glue exactly. But I don't control your people. If you want to do glue, go for it. But I would recommend, like, if you don't want it, I would just get it full on removed, because then you won't have to worry about it bursting or anything like that, and your vision and stuff like that wouldn't have problems with it, just because of the fact of you aren't bleeding and it's not in your brain and stuff like that. So, but yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about. Again, I'm truly sorry about sometimes with my notes and I'm writing something, it takes me a good while just because of the situation that happened with me. And it takes me a lot more to understand things, if that makes any sense for that. But that's all, guys. That's all I wanted to say. It's kind of a sad story, but you know what? I don't care. I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at YouTube. I'm looking at my job and stuff like that. I feel great. You know, even with the fact that I can't talk fast enough or anything like that, I still feel fine. I feel great about it, and I understand that there's a problem that may never come back for that, so I accept it, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, guys, that's all I was gonna say. So thank you all if you read this whole thing with me. I appreciate the help and love for it. Yeah, it was crazy, but thank you all so much for reading my story, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay epic, guys. Peace out, everybody.